My husband won't stop edging as a hobby and it's ruining our relationship. What should I do next? He was a virgin when I met him and he has had these 2-3 hour porn sessions for most of his life. I should have seen the red flag when he took over a half hour to get off during his first intercourse. For the past 10 years of being together, I've always thought I wasn't doing enough, or maybe he wasn't into me. The first year I was with him, I gave him my all. Half-hour blowjobs, deep throat, anal, 31-hour-long penetration. Whatever he wanted, I gave, with the exception of threesomes. I've actually had a few threesomes before meeting him and know that's not something I want with him because we don't have a good sexual relationship and that's the only spicing he's willing to do. As the years went by, I realized nothing I did was going to change the fact that he just enjoys edging and the explosive orgasms that came with it. I finally opened up about the issue with my friends recently and brought to light that more than 15 minutes of penetration is generally too long and painful if not done the right way. It has always been me trying to please him with foreplay and I've hardly gotten much back. I've been asking him to stop edging for years and he enjoys it too much to stop. After I told him about what my friends said about the normal time for sex and the research I found about the norms, he played it off saying you can find anything on the internet if you look for it. His first suggestion was that I edge with him. I don't have the time for that, we just had a child last year and there is hardly enough time for the penetration he needs. I also have many great hobbies I would love to do instead of hours of edging. He also suggests that we should learn about each other more sexually and admits that he hasn't done his part with learning what I enjoy. The part that's the most hurtful is he says that I'm not doing enough to get him going either. I admit I've dropped the foreplay and hours of focus on him when I realized I was hitting walls. I just don't want to go there anymore until I know he doesn't need to edge. The penetration is still long and longer, since we have been together. I can only hope that it lasts 30 minutes. Usually it's much longer and I'm just biting through the pain. Although I have mentioned it before, I try not to show the pain because he only gets off if he knows I'm enjoying it as well. Another aspect of edging that becomes hurtful is that he has ADD with his porn. He watches about 10+ tabs of women at a time and flips through them for 2-3 hours. I am only one human and I have no plans of adding other women in our relationship. Although I am considered very attractive to most, and people have always commented that I'm much more attractive than him, I always feel compared to the porn stars and the fake social media women he follows. I've signed up for therapy to help myself, but he refuses any kind of couples therapy and insists we just need to try more. I feel too burned out to try on my part to please him anymore because I feel he goes back to his habits. With a child in the picture, it's also hard to give sex more attention and making time for it weekly. I fantasize a lot of times of being with another man that can get off at a normal time, who would enjoy all that I have to offer and who would enjoy me as well. I want to make this work, but we keep hitting walls and my nerves feel a little frayed and burnt. I told him yesterday that I no longer want to be intimate with him until he is ready for therapy together as a boundary, so I don't feel as if I'm left with nothing. Should I keep trying with him or should I stay safe in my boundary? I am physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. Touch is my number one love language. Out of all our relationship problems, this one hurts the most. Thanks in advance for the advice. You are better off just running away and not looking back. The thing about therapy is that unless that person believes they have a problem, and they actually want to work past that problem, therapy really isn't going to do anything outside of telling them that it's bad. And then all that person will do is find people who will tell them that it is okay and you are controlling. And this does not seem like the only issue you two have. Personally, I think child support exists for a reason. You should go file for it and move on with your life. This isn't normal. Sounds like your husband has a sex addiction that he is unwilling to treat. If so, then the only thing you can do is leave him. You don't have to just sit there and take sex if you don't enjoy it, let alone if it's painful. Ever. Sounds like his problem, so if he won't work on it and show real improvements, then he isn't respecting you. You are self-harming for his benefit. You are going to hurt yourself. Emotionally and physically. The kinds of infections you can get from pushing through the pain would make your stomach flip. The pain you feel from long penetration is tearing in your vagina. You should not be in pain to enable his addiction to edging. Stop pretending that he's not hurting you just because he can't be bothered to just come already. No, he has to prolong sex so much that it's become a chore, and still he claims to be unsatisfied. That is a him issue, and you are more than justified to refrain from letting him use your body, and neglect your pleasure, until you get some therapy. If he refuses, he is showing supreme selfishness, and I would recommend going to therapy without him so that you have support to really examine this relationship. If he's not doing it for you, won't get therapy, and he's literally hurting you during sex, doesn't matter that you haven't said it at this point. You told him it's too much, and if he cared to research it himself he would know the damage he could cause you. Don't fantasize about another man. Leave him. And find another man. What'd he say after you said y'all weren't gonna be intimate? I am really scared to Google it, so can someone explain to me what edging is? Thanks in advance. Friend's husband asked me to keep this between us. My 33F husband, 39M. And I have couple friends we used to be quite close to, that have drifted since our family's takes on the pandemic are opposite, and so we haven't felt comfortable hanging out with them until our little can be vaccinated. Her husband and I are both into photography, and have been out shooting together before, just the two of us, and all was totally respectable, no funny business. Last week her husband sent me some messages. We all text one between each of the four of us depending what comes up, so not unusual or uncalled for, though he has always had a flirty personality that he and his wife openly acknowledge and seem to be comfortable with. Not my thing, but happy for couples who find people who work with their boundaries and individual relationship comforts. He was asking about photography projects, usually the main theme of our messages, and if he could take some of me. Not out of line, as I had previously told him sure, let's go out again sometime to shoot, but he'd have to be okay with me taking some of him shooting, as people are my favorite subjects and taking some photography-themed photos would do well for my stock photography crossed fingers light skin tone. I said I'd be open to that, depending on the project and the intention. He tends to be more philosophical and have a lot of thought-provoking ideas in his setup photos, leaning to the artistic side of photography. Sure, I'd wear a costume, depending on what it is and again, the intention. And then he asked me to keep it between us, because his wife might not be okay with it. They have 2 young children and have been building their own home, and she's been very busy with her own business, and I'm sure she'd like his help if he has time. He says she wouldn't understand him needing the time to do his own thing that he enjoys, away from kids and house building, that is truly his own. I get that. I still wouldn't feel comfortable moving forward without her knowing and approving, and I told him so. But now I feel all grungy. Just being asked to keep a secret about getting together with her husband to take photos sends of all those red flag feelings I'm sure are going to be plentiful in the comments. But, do I tell her? She's mentioned being okay with encouraging me to infidelity before when I was going through a rough patch in my relationship, so maybe it's not a big deal to her. Do I tell my husband of 9 years? Do I just do the right thing myself but stay quiet, because nothing happened? Why do I feel guilty for not saying anything? I'd feel guilty for blowing something up out of proportion, too. Too long did not read. Friend couple's husband wants to take photos with me without his wife's knowing. I said no, but do I tell my husband or his wife, or keep quiet? Edit. I guess I wasn't clear. There is no way in hell I would do that, or anything else at all with him, without both our partners knowing and being okay with it. That was never, ever a question, and I responded immediately to let him know that, to which he said, I will try and talk to her about it then so we can go have some fun and be creative with this. I am not trying to hide it from her at all, just might be a hard sell at this point, but maybe not winking face. So maybe he will ask her. But at this point I'm already out of the idea because of the gut feelings. My question was more about whether to tell my husband about it or let it go, knowing I won't be hanging out with him at all again, and if I have a responsibility to tell his wife what was said. Show your husband the message first and see what he thinks about it, then go from there. I personally would want to know if someone did that to my partner and decide together how to best move forward. It sounds like he's trying to shoot his shot, don't let anything develop. I think you should tell your husband and fade out from these folks, they don't seem to have compatible values. Gross. Tell your husband first. He's being inappropriate, what a jerk. Asking you to keep secrets from his wife. Tell her then stop hanging around with a flirty man who wants to take pictures of you. You should feel guilty and uncomfortable because he's being sneaky, dishonest and manipulative. Wait, I know this isn't what you're asking about, but she's mentioned being okay with encouraging me to infidelity before when I was having a rough patch in my relationship, so maybe it's not a big deal to her? Why are you still hanging with these people? What kind of friend encourages you to commit adultery? Now you have her husband asking you to hide things from her. I think you need to tell your husband and find new friends, but I just may be too old-fashioned. Edit. Just read OP's commit about how this couple met through infidelity and he left his last relationship to be with her. Maybe that's why she's okay with infidelity. Bet she wouldn't be if she knew he was potentially trying it with you. She wouldn't recommend it to you then. So the wife encourages you to cheat and the husband wants to keep stuff from his wife? Nice friends you have got here, lol. And you ask, why do people need to complicate relationships with lies and secrecy? The answer is you. They are counting on you to try and keep the peace, not rock the boat, and whatever other related phrases are there. And guess what? It worked. You didn't laugh him out of the call and go to your husband saying, "This dumbass wants to pull me in his complicated married life, but I just laughed at him. Now let's get something to eat." Instead you are asking Reddit if you should keep a secret from your husband and complicate your own relationship? She was encouraging you to cheat? So your friend encouraged you to cheat on your husband during a rough patch in your marriage. I am just curious. How comfortable would you be if your husband kept friends that encouraged him to cheat on you? 33M. Think I read it completely wrong with a friend, 36F. So I've got a friend who's self-employed as a dog walker, sitter. I've known her for a few years and met through my mother because they used work together. I didn't see her for a couple of years because of COVID, and when I saw her again we gave each other a big hug a few months back. Anyway, sometimes I will look after her dogs because we are both big dog lovers and have quite a bit in common. Over the last couple of months we've been chatting through WhatsApp nearly every day. Someday I won't message her so I don't seem too strong and see if she messaged on the days I didn't, which she usually would, about either dogs or something else. She would sometimes call me babe and I would do, which then became more frequent and then just stopped. We would sometimes send each other kissing emojis, also stopped, and couple of times a beating heart emoji. When we meet in person we would smile and give each other a hug and either kiss on cheek or a peck on the lips, though stopped until the weekend. She would get as close to as me she could. A couple of times in the last week she would say to me how funny I was, or after I sent a funny message she was laughing about how funny I was couple of hours later. I'm not sure if we were flirting or just being very friendly. A couple of months ago I asked if she wanted to go to the movies and then if she was up for a drink afterwards. For movies she was up for, and for the drink she said she would see how she feels, but why not? We arranged, but on the day she messaged and cancelled because someone wanted her to look after a dog. So rearranged it, but it happened again, and then it happened for a third time in between what I posted up top. Last week I saw her on the weekend because I went to meet a dog she was looking after. I was there for an hour, we chatted and we were fine. I saw in town a few hours later cuz I was in mate's shop and we gave each other a big smile and I kissed her on the cheek. We chatted for 10–15 minutes and when she left she kissed me on the cheek. So on Sunday while I was in church I messaged her saying, "Morning babe." And her response was, "Morning, have a great day." A couple of hours later she messaged me happy Sunday with a gif of her dogs and then a picture of her and her dogs on her bed, which I replied, "All beautiful." I left it at that, but then she messaged me during the day with dog video, so we were chatting, sending each other dog stuff for a while. A couple of hours later I thought I would try one more time and asked if would like to go to see the new James Bond on Saturday cuz she's free most Saturdays this morning. She replied she couldn't on Saturday cuz she had plans but will need to see other dates. I replied okay and said it's showing for the next 2 weeks, with her response being that she's sure she can manage it somehow but will be a last minute thing, and that's really been it since. I didn't message her yesterday and I'm not going today. I'm a bit confused if something is here or if I've just completely misread everything. Have I read this completely wrong? Was she just being really friendly? Did she think she showed clear signs before, but because I didn't pick them up she thinks I'm not interested? Have I been friend-zoned in all but name with the last messages about the movies? Am I overthinking it and ruined a good friendship, made it awkward? I think she's just friendly. If I wanted to go out with a guy, the first wouldn't break dates with him. You don't seem to be a priority in her life. I would stop setting up dates and just leave it at a friendly relationship. I don't think she is interested in anything more. You didn't make it awkward, but don't try again. If she is interested, she has a mouth, let her ask you out. Sounds to be she is just friendly. I call both men and women who I care about babe, hun, and use kiss, heart, hug emojis. But best thing to do is straight up ask her. If you want a romantic date with her, ask her if she is interested in a date. Just make clear if not that everything is fine and you love the friendship between you two. I hate going to the movies on a date. Just ask her out to dinner. Hello, and thank you for your submission. Please take a moment to review the rules listed in our sidebar. For further guidance, please see our wiki. This is a bot message. I cannot respond to any comments. Please modmail us with any questions. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message compose to =r relationship_advice if you have any questions or concerns. You need to have a talk about what the relationship is about. Kinda sounds like she was flirting with you, maybe accidentally leading you on, and now is seeing someone and they're her priority. Going to be honest, but this sounds like you may have missed the boat. If you don't act when you're doing the lovey flirty messages, that'd give me the message you weren't interested. If you then popped up acting interested after when it had calmed and I was already making moves elsewhere, I wouldn't drop them to go on a date with a guy the first dropped 50 hints to and he couldn't get round to a coffee. Best thing to do is just ask if you want the information more directly, but that could make it awkward. I'd say roll on and find someone else. She sounds like a good friend to have. I've, 25 male, been on a few dates with a guy, 26 male, who just came out to me as trans. Advice? Hey all. I don't usually post here ever, but I'm in some unknown territory right now with my dating life and looking for some advice. I'm a gay male and I've been talking to this guy here and there for about a month. We've gone out twice. The first time was just out to eat, and second, this past weekend, was out for drinks and then chilling at his place. Neither times did we hook up, which is actually refreshing to me at this point in my life where I'm trying to find a more substantial relationship that isn't built on purely sexual attraction. He's attractive, has a stable income and job, has his shit together, funny, relatable, pretty much every attractive quality I can think of. By the end of the second date I admit I'm smitten. But we still had barely kissed, so I wasn't really sure where I stood. The next morning, he texts me that he had a really good time. Then, follows it up with a confession. He lets me know before we move any further, that he's transgender. I'm actually still a little surprised. I know passable is an extremely subjective term, but he definitely is to me. My feelings for him have not wavered at all after this confession. Admittedly, it makes me even more interested in him. I'm even a little relieved, as I'm sure he wanted to come out to me before we got too intimate, so the slow pace of our relationship has been explained. I suppose where I'm asking for advice is, how can I go about this in the most supportive way? Obviously I have a lot of questions, a ton actually, so when is a good time to ask these things? We haven't spoken any further about it after I told him my feelings haven't changed and that it's completely okay. Should I just carry on exactly how I would and wait for him to ask if I have any questions? I'm also nervous about sex, not really a question of attraction but more so lack of experience in the department of genitals that I don't also have. I'm sure he'll understand if we get to that point, but I've been trying to do some research in the meantime and it almost makes me feel like I know what I'm doing even less. Anyway, I don't expect this to really give me the answers I need or anything better than what can be learned just by communicating with him, but if anyone has words of advice please enlighten me. Too long did not read. The guy I've been dating came out to me as trans and I'd like him to be comfortable with me, but I've never been in this situation before. Ask him. Every person is different. If he trusted you with that info, he would probably be appreciative of you asking him how he would like to be supported, or what things in the bedroom will be. Are there expectations, hard no, etc. I'm a trans guy dating a cis guy. Every trans person has a different level of comfortability with their body, especially when it comes to intimacy and sex, so I would say the best thing you can do is to think of what specific questions you'd like to ask, and then let him know you have some questions if he feels comfortable answering. If you end up getting more intimate, don't be afraid to pause and ask if something's okay to do. I think you have a wonderful attitude about the situation and seem very caring. And it seems like he's comfortable with you, so I wouldn't stress too much about it if I was you. This is the sweetest thing I've read in like forever. I wish you the best of luck and I promise the nerves will go away faster than you think. So for when to ask, I would say to do it when it feels comfortable to do so. Don't just bring it up as the first topic next time you guys meet up, but I feel like I'm so happy you felt comfortable telling me. If this is received well, then follow it up with, I had some questions if you're comfortable with that, or this is my first time with a trans partner. If it is, I'm assuming. The bedroom stuff, communication is key. Some trans men don't like that part of their body talked about or touched and rather only work with the back door. Also depending if he takes tea or not, and if so how long will change things down there, and he might have had one of the surgeries. I think there is only 2 but I can't recall. Source: I am a trans dude, edit spelling. The fact he told you before there was a remote possibility of becoming physically intimate is the greenest flag. Others should be taking note of this dude's class. It sounds like you're still interested, and the best thing to do is show interest in his life, but never pry. You will likely make a mistake here and there, but it seems like this guy understands how people are in the real world. As for sex, just have open communication and don't make assumptions. And hey, you have a silver lining here. If the dude's a top, you'll never have to worry about him coming too fast lol. Well, there's nothing anyone but him can help you with. Just be patient, but if you are really intrigued, be mindful and respectful and just ask. Nothing wrong with that. If you feel like you have a bunch of, "How does being trans work?" questions that you can't find answers to on Google and you don't want to pester him with them, try ask transgender. That's what it's there for. Obviously different people have different answers to different things, but that might help you get some general starting points. This is great. I'm happy you're interested and it wasn't a deal breaker. Also, it's great that there was enough trust and respect to discuss this early on. I'm happy for you too.